Please welcome Jarreth Merz.
You know, with the topic of politics, which can put you to sleep very quickly, or the topic of Africa, which seems so overlooked at times, or, you know, there's a preconceived idea, the challenge was to find something that would keep the film fresh. It has to be more of a visceral experience. You have to go on a journey. You have to come in. Yes, you need like basic information. You need like a setup. You need a little bit of history, because who knows anything about Ghana? So we have to establish that, and then the story can start. I love in the film, you see them counting each single vote. I mean, how passionate can people be about voting, you know, in elections? So I thought that's great. But then suddenly, you know, we realized, wow, something's happening here. People are losing control over the situation, and we have to be very close when we're in. You know, there were days when they started calling us, "Where are you? You have to be there because something's happening." We knew we were in. This is, you know, something real was happening, and they wanted us to be witnesses and, you know, wanted it to be a transparent process. And that's when I knew we had a film. I didn't know where it was going yet, but I knew we had a film. You know, with the electoral commissioner, he was like, "When are you going to get out of my face?" But for some reason, I mean, one evening we were all exhausted. We were sitting in the electoral commission. He was smoking, I was smoking, we had a beer. And then I said, "Look, you got to let us in here." He's like, "Oh, you know, just get out of my sight. You know, you've been bugging me for months now." I said, "Please, let us into that strong room, because that's going to be the key. You know, we don't know what happened in Kenya. We don't know what really happened in Zimbabwe." And I said, "Let us know what happened in Ghana." You know, and when the figures start changing, you know, and the shit hits the fan, it's in the strong room, because apparently, you know, the figures are being changed, and we were in there. So we were the first team to ever be in that strong room, so it was key. And he understood at some point that that might happen, and it was a gentleman's agreement. We shook hands, and basically he said, "Look, you don't let any of the material leak until after the elections." Based on that, a gentleman's agreement, we were in. You know, it was amazing. So we were there early, and we just traveled. We traveled with the candidates. Everyone was like, "What are you doing here? Why are you filming this? This is not interesting." You know, until to the point where they called us when we didn't show up for a day or two. They got used to us. They didn't understand entirely what we were doing, but they felt safe enough. You know, and I told everyone we were filming very early, I said, "Look, you're never going to see the material before it comes out. You have no power to intervene or to censor the material. So, because this is not going to be a propaganda movie. So either this is a yes and you're in, or it's a no and we're out. That's okay. I can live with that. But I need full directorial control. Otherwise, we lose credibility." We just had a test screening in Ghana, actually, for the first time, which was very scary, because that's the real players there. And they got sucked into the story. They knew what the outcome was. I mean, they were part of it, you know, but they were like sitting there biting their nails and like, "Oh my God, we didn't know that that was actually happening behind the scenes."
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank all of you for being here.